I will never forget, on the last film at 3 o'clock in the morning, Michael Gambon staggering up this piece of old grass, looking at me and saying, "Am I dead in this scene?"
There are certain voices that never truly disappear. Long after the final curtain falls and the cameras stop rolling, they remain with us, echoing through the films we return to year after year. For many of us, especially those who grew up during the golden decades of cinema, Alan Rickman is one of those rare performers. Every holiday season, his unforgettable presence seems to find its way back into our living rooms. Whether he's masterminding a daring heist in Die Hard, bringing quiet heartbreak to Love Actually, or standing silently in the halls of Hogwarts as Severus Snape, Rickman reminds us that true acting isn't about drawing attention to yourself. It's about making every moment feel completely real. In an era when so many celebrities chase headlines, he chose a different path. He earned admiration not through scandal or spectacle, but through extraordinary talent, unwavering professionalism, and a quiet dignity that never left him. Today, we're looking back at the remarkable life and career of a man who became one of Britain's greatest actors and one of Hollywood's most unforgettable screen legends. Alan Sidney Patrick Rickman was born in West London on February 21, 1946, into a working-class family that understood hardship long before success ever arrived. When Alan was only 8 years old, his father passed away, leaving his mother to raise 4 children on her own. That early loss shaped him in ways audiences would only recognize decades later. There was always a remarkable depth behind his performances, an understanding of grief, resilience, and quiet endurance that simply couldn't be taught. Unlike many actors who dream of Hollywood from childhood, Rickman's journey was anything but conventional. Before ever stepping onto a professional stage, he pursued graphic design and became talented enough to build a successful career in the field. By every practical measure, his future looked secure. Yet there was a persistent feeling that something important was missing. At 26, an age when many actors already feared they were running out of time, Rickman made the courageous decision to start over. He applied to the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, one of Britain's most respected acting schools, where discipline mattered more than glamour and craft mattered more than fame. After graduating, he spent years refining his abilities with the Royal Shakespeare Company, mastering rhythm, timing, language, and emotional restraint. Those years on the stage became the invisible foundation beneath every unforgettable performance audiences would later celebrate on screen. Away from the spotlight, his personal life reflected the same loyalty and stability that defined his work. His lifelong relationship with Rima Horton lasted decades before they quietly married in 2012, a love story almost unheard of in modern entertainment. Long before Hollywood discovered Alan Rickman, he had already become exactly the kind of man and actor that lasting greatness requires. If Alan Rickman's story had ended on the British stage, he would still have been remembered as a remarkable actor. But fate had something even greater waiting for him. At an age when many performers worry that Hollywood has already passed them by, Rickman was about to make his film debut. And what a debut it would be. He was 41 years old when he accepted the role of Hans Gruber in Die Hard, proving that extraordinary careers don't always begin in youth. From the instant those elevator doors opened and Gruber stepped into view with effortless confidence, audiences knew they were witnessing something different. Rickman didn't portray the character as a loud, reckless criminal. Instead, he created a villain whose greatest weapon was intelligence. Calm, sophisticated, and always several moves ahead of everyone around him, Hans Gruber spoke with the precision of a man who never expected to lose. His dry wit, measured delivery, and icy self-control made him infinitely more intimidating than any outburst of anger ever could. It was a performance built on restraint, the very quality Rickman had spent years perfecting on the stage. Ironically, the actor himself had almost no experience in front of a movie camera. Yet he carried himself with such confidence that few would ever guess this was his first film. Even one of the movie's most famous moments came with an unforgettable story behind it. During the climactic fall from the skyscraper, the stunt team secretly released Rickman a fraction of a second earlier than they had promised. The look of genuine shock frozen on his face wasn't acting at all. It was completely real, and it became one of the most iconic images in action movie history. That unexpected moment perfectly captured the authenticity Rickman brought to every performance. Die Hard instantly established him as one of cinema's greatest villains, but more importantly, it introduced audiences to an actor capable of commanding the screen without ever raising his voice. It was an astonishing beginning to a film career that would soon prove he was capable of far more than playing unforgettable antagonists. Most actors who create an unforgettable villain spend years trying to escape that image. Hollywood has always had a habit of placing talented performers into neat little boxes, asking them to repeat the same success again and again. Alan Rickman could easily have spent the rest of his career playing sophisticated criminals and calculating masterminds. Instead, he quietly proved that his greatest talent wasn't playing villains at all. It was revealing the complicated humanity hidden inside every character he touched. Throughout the 1990s, he built one of the most remarkably varied careers of any actor of his generation, surprising audiences time after time with performances that shared only one common quality: they were impossible to forget. One of the earliest examples came with Truly, Madly, Deeply, where Rickman displayed a warmth and vulnerability that few people expected after Die Hard. The sharp edges disappeared, replaced by tenderness, gentle humor, and heartbreaking emotion. It was a reminder that beneath that commanding voice was an actor capable of extraordinary sensitivity. Then came Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, where he swung dramatically in the opposite direction, embracing the outrageous Sheriff of Nottingham with delicious theatrical energy. Rickman understood that entertainment sometimes required larger-than-life performances, and he delivered one so memorable that many viewers still consider him the film's true star. Just a few years later, Sense and Sensibility revealed yet another side of his remarkable range. As Colonel Brandon, he gave a performance defined not by grand speeches or dramatic gestures, but by quiet decency, patience, and restrained affection. It was the kind of subtle acting that grows richer every time you revisit the film. By the middle of the decade, Alan Rickman was no longer simply admired for individual roles. He had become one of those rare actors whose presence alone elevated an entire production. Directors trusted his judgment, fellow actors loved working beside him, and audiences knew they could expect intelligence and honesty whenever his name appeared in the credits. His trophy shelf reflected that respect, earning honors including a BAFTA, a Golden Globe, an Emmy, and a Screen Actors Guild Award. Yet those who knew him often said his greatest achievement wasn't the awards themselves, but the generosity, professionalism, and quiet kindness he brought to every set. Those qualities would soon prepare him for the role that would introduce him to an entirely new generation and secure his place in cinema history forever. By the turn of the new millennium, Alan Rickman had already built the kind of career most actors could only dream about. He had earned the respect of critics, directors, and audiences alike, proving time and again that he could disappear into almost any role. Yet nothing, not even the remarkable success of Die Hard or the acclaim of his dramatic performances, could have prepared him for the cultural phenomenon that was about to redefine his legacy forever. In 2001, he stepped into the black robes of Professor Severus Snape in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, introducing the world to a character who would become one of the most fascinating figures in modern cinema. At first glance, Snape appeared cold, intimidating, and impossible to like. His piercing stare, measured speech, and seemingly endless disdain for Harry Potter made him a figure children feared from the very first film. But Rickman understood something the audience did not. Before filming even began, author J.K. Rowling privately revealed the secret that would remain hidden for years: the heartbreaking truth about Snape's lifelong love for Lily Potter. Armed with that knowledge, Rickman carefully crafted every glance, every pause, and every whispered line with extraordinary precision, planting emotional clues that most viewers would only recognize after the story reached its conclusion. Looking back today, it is astonishing how much was hidden beneath what appeared to be simple cruelty. Every harsh word carried the weight of old wounds. Every cold expression concealed years of heartbreak, regret, and sacrifice. Rickman never portrayed Snape as a conventional villain because he knew the character was something far more tragic. A man trapped by love, guilt, and choices he could never undo. When Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Part 2, finally revealed the truth behind Snape's loyalty, audiences around the world experienced one of the most powerful emotional reversals in film history. Suddenly, an entire decade of performances took on new meaning. The quiet line, "always," became far more than a single word. It became a symbol of enduring love and heartbreaking devotion. For millions who grew up alongside the films, Alan Rickman's Snape wasn't simply an unforgettable character. He became the emotional soul of the entire series. It was the role that introduced Rickman to a new generation, ensuring that his remarkable talent would continue to be discovered and cherished for decades to come. Even in the final years of his career, Alan Rickman never lost the quiet excellence that had defined him from the very beginning. Whether portraying the sinister Judge Turpin in Sweeney Todd or the thoughtful military officer in Eye in the Sky, he continued to remind audiences that great acting didn't require grand speeches or dramatic displays. It was found in the smallest gestures, the briefest pauses, and the emotions left unspoken. Behind the camera, those who worked with Rickman remembered not only his remarkable talent, but also his generosity, humility, and unwavering kindness. Younger actors often spoke of how encouraging he was, treating everyone on set with equal respect regardless of experience or fame. When he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in 2015, he chose to face the illness with the same dignity that had marked every chapter of his life. He kept working for as long as he could, never seeking sympathy or allowing his private struggle to become a public spectacle. On January 14, 2016, the world lost one of its finest actors, but Alan Rickman's legacy was never defined by the day he died. It lives on every time Hans Gruber steps from an elevator, every time Colonel Brandon quietly reveals his love, every time Professor Snape whispers, "Look at me," or reminds us of the single word that changed everything: always. The greatest actors never truly leave us, because their finest performances become part of our own memories. Alan Rickman gave us far more than unforgettable characters. He gave us honesty, compassion, and the timeless reminder that true greatness is measured not by fame, but by the lives we continue to touch long after we're gone.